Hi there, welcome to the Weekend Rockstar Northeast podcast. Today we're with my friend Bob Bates. Say hi, Bob.
Hello there, you alright everybody?
So we're here to talk to Bob about various projects that he's involved in, some days from the past hopefully, and some future things, and how things have changed. So we've got to start, because of how I met you, Bob, in the first place, was my love of Status Quo, especially as a kid. So Mark Kelly's Boys.
Oh, it was the Mark Kelly's Boys?
It was the Mark Kelly's Boys where I first saw you and Mick and bumped into you.
Frantic 4 era.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
But one thing I've never really asked you is, why did you only focus on the older stuff?
Because that's the stuff we like. Me and my brother obviously grew up together, Mick and I. And we used to listen to music in the house and stuff. And I think I discovered Status Quo. It was after, I think they did Paper Plane on Top of the Pops in 73 or something.
Right.
And started to buy the albums. We just love all that old stuff. And then I think it was If You Can't Stand the Heat album came out after Blue For You. Mm-hmm. And it was just different. This isn't the Status Quo we like, because we like sort of everything from Mark Kelly's Boys, from Mark Kelly's Greasy Spoon, through to maybe it's Blue For You. It's starting to turn for me at Blue For You a bit like. But, the classic albums like Quo and Pile Driver and Hello, those were the ones that really got us, and Dog of Two Head and things like that.
From the first strum that I heard, I thought, this is just going to be so close. It's going to be amazing. I suppose it's right what you were saying. You identify with the sound, you like what you like, and it grips you. And then if you feel it changes, you can. It can drift away.
It's fine for the band to change. It has to develop. It has to survive. I mean, they've got to make a living, haven't they? I think they were trying to get the American market when we sort of thought it had lost it a bit. But there are people who like every era of Quo. I can appreciate every era of Quo, but the era that I really like is the one that we play. And for us, it's a tribute to the music, really, not to the. I mean, obviously we wear jeans and t-shirts. It's quite easy dressing up for a Quo band because you just turn up with whatever you're wearing. And you can do it, but we don't wear wigs or out like that. And you probably notice we don't even stick to the guitar parts for one person or another person. So
yes,
I call what was that I said originally? I'm Rick Rossi and Mick is Francis Parfit in terms of the way we play.
Yeah, I was going to say the one thing I did notice, obviously before we got together, is I obviously look at your Facebook pages and things like that. Your about section is huge. Things that you're involved in now, things that you have
doing,
But I like the Rossi Parfit slinger at Mark Kelly's Boys. That made me laugh. Some people go there and they know maybe 5 or 6 songs. They can enjoy it because you put on a show. It's not just you stand there and we're going to bust out some Quo songs. It actually feels a little bit like a Quo gig used to. The movement on the stage. The choreography that comes with years of playing and stuff like that. I really enjoy it.
Well, the thing is, when it's a band that hit you when you were 12, 13, 14, I mean, you idolise them, don't you? And you want to emulate them. And so everything that I've played, my style of guitar playing comes a bit from Quo, and obviously how I stand on the stage comes from Quo. I mean, the picture you used to promote this is me Rossi picture.
I'll tell you what, you've mentioned that, so I'll bring this in now. We had a question from Michael Peel, because obviously we advertise who we're going to talk to on our Facebook page in advance and ask for any questions that we could put. So Michael, I've remembered you this time. So Michael was wanting to ask,
nice fella,
how do you stretch your legs that wide at our age? I'm guessing Michael.
Yeah, I do, yeah. It just comes naturally. I can do it. I can go really wide.
I was thinking, as soon as I saw that picture, I thought, I could probably stretch up wide, but I'm not quite sure how I'd get back up.
I struggle to get back up sometimes now, but it helps if you wear sort of sand shoes or plimsolls or whatever you want to call them.
Right. Yeah, I think we've had this conveation before. I think it was at Trillions where someone asked me, about your shoes, and I don't know, because they associated me with. I have a set of stage shoes. So I thought, I'm going to ask Bob if they're a special thing. I mean, a lot of bands and a lot of people who I talk to do have some very strange rituals.
Oh, I've got lucky shoes, lucky underpants, and lucky socks.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my life.
And occasionally lucky t-shirts.
Right?
Yeah. I'm a bit funny like that. If I wear something new and I have what I perceive to be a bad gig,
It'll never be worn again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so those shoes I bought in Amsterdam decades ago, and they're falling to bits like those ones. And so,
well, they're iconic now, so you're gonna have to just try and keep a look after them.
They're on that picture, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, your solo performances really stand out to me as well. I mean, there was the whole COVID lockdown thing.
Yeah.
I mean, what was behind that? What made you do that? Were you just bored?
Yeah, basically, I thought I had to do something really, and I mean, you worry about, are you ever going to do this again? Because you get out of practice, And so I thought, if I put myself in the position where there's no way to hide, because there's no way to hide when you do a live sort of thing on Facebook, I thought I'll just do it and play some tunes, and I'll try and play some tunes some people like. But then also I thought, I'll also try and just play some tunes that people wouldn't normally hear.
Ah, right, okay. So chance to showcase other things.
Well, I wouldn't call it showcase. I think just a chance to play what the hell I want, because
it's your shed, your rules. There's one song in particular that jumps out to me. And if I'm travelling any distance and I've got Spotify on, I'll normally just pop it on, which is 27.
Oh, yeah, 27.
Oh, 27.
Yeah.
What a tune.
Nice and simple.
The thing is, though, it doesn't have to be complicated. It's just such a good song. I mean, how did that particular song come about?
Well, I was recording the Bridge Street album up in Ali Lee's Mill Studios, and we're waiting for Ronnie Semple to turn up to play some harmonica on a track, and I had some lyrics that I'd written, because I've always wanted to write a song about people who've died. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds weird, but there's that song from the 70s, people who died. I really like that one. I forget who it's by, but you really should look it up. It's a brilliant number, sort of punky number. Anyway, so he hadn't turned up, and I said, well, I've got these lyrics, Al, and I've got me 4-string cigar box out.
Yes.
Just a little 4-string, started playing this little riff, and I said, right, we'll give it a go. I've got my stomp box going with my foot, and just played it there and then. And that was it.
Wow.
I mean, I cocked up a couple of the lyrics, which still hurts me, but
only you know, Bob.
And, well, yeah, but if you listen to it, there's a genuine mistake in terms of the lyrics on that one. Which, if anybody knows Johnny Cash, they'll get it. But yeah, just knocked it out, waiting for Ronnie to turn up, and
right.
And it's gone really well. I just like it, and of course I was much influenced by Amy Winehouse dying, and I wanted to say something about her dying. So so the first two verses are some of them are quite humorous, really. But the last verse about the 27 Club, particularly, Amy's joined the club that we all hoped she would miss, is all about Amy dying, because I think that's just a massive loss.
I hadn't realised it was around that time.
Yeah, it was maybe a couple of years later or a year later. I can't remember exactly when.
I'm quite interested to ask you your take on the live music scene in the Northeast. I mean, I play in bands where everything's covers.
Yeah.
So a function band covers, for instance, and then I go out and do sort of Nirvana tribute. So everyone knows the songs. The people who are booking it, the venues know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
But how do you go about marketing yourself as an original, like, solo performer or band and get into places? How do you find that in the Northeast?
Well, I do covers as well, basically.
So do you mix when you go out?
Yeah, absolutely.
You mix things in?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there are some times I'm booked to do original music, and I'll play all original music. There are some times when I'm booked in a very mainstream pub, and I know I've got to mix it up a wee bit more. So I'll stick a handful of songs in that people will know.
Yeah.
But I've got a little bit of the cigar boxes are a bit of a secret weapon, as are the foot drums when I play the foot drums. So that sort of grabs people a bit. It's not just me standing there with an acoustic guitar, singing, plaintive ballads,
I mean, I did want to ask you about that. You do play quite a diverse range of instruments, yeah. And I mean, we've had chats privately about that as well.
It's a pain in the arse carrying them all in. But,
yeah. I was going to say, I mean, from someone, if I stumbled in a pub and thought, there's live music on, we'll go there, which we do. Me and my wife do when I'm not gigging and she's not working. We'll go and seek out live music. Doesn't matter where we are.
And for a holiday anyway, yeah.
Exactly.
That's what we do as well, yeah.
So we'll do that. And if I walked in, saw a chair, a stomp box, some pedals, cigar box guitar and a normal guitar, an acoustic guitar, I'd be like, this is our night.
Yeah.
We're probably not leaving here. And that is exactly what happened. When I saw your one-man show for the first time, I can't remember where it was, at Schooner, something like that.
I'm getting better now.
But when I saw that, it was, yes, the music. I mean, you know, obviously it's very foot-tapping, you know, music. But to see it played out on such a diverse range of instruments, and obviously, you know, you've got that dynamic, you've got your voice, which is something I did want to talk to you about separately, that voice and how that's come about. Whether that's just a natural thing, I'll ask you about it now. Whether that's just a natural thing or whether it's something you're conscious of. Do you really look after it? Do you? Because it's got a very gravelly tone.
You think I look after that?
I ask everybody if they've got some USP or something that makes them stand out from something else. I think it's important to ask about it.
Well, when I was a kid, I used to try to emulate a whiny Rossi voice, but when I came back up to the northeast, because I lived in Sheffield in the Midlands for a while, in between, when I came back to the northeast at the turn of the 90s and tried to get in a couple of bands, it was quite bluesy then. We started off what became the Bandits. It was called the Rhythm Bandits when we started off. There were 4 of us. There was nobody to sing. So I just started singing. I was used to doing backing vocals when I was younger, but so I just started singing while we were rehearsing and that, and then went on the road and along it went. But it just started to get gravelier and gravelier. And what I find is, if I give it rice for a little while, this is going to sound a bit gross, but you sort of get like a coating on your throat, and you can then really dig deep and go for it. I mean, I can sing falsetto and all that stuff as well. I don't think I've got the most mellifluous of voices, you know, the most tuneful necessarily, but I can hold a note. And the vibrato is just developed. I don't know where that's come from. And you're able to, just your voice gets there. That's one of the things I was worried about in the lockdown, losing it.
Right.
And if I've not sung for a while, it takes me about 3 or 4 gigs to get going.
Right.
I had a break this year after my holidays. And I remember I was doing a gig in Spennymoor, and I was coughing in between lines and that till I got that coating on my throat again. So I don't look after it. The best way to make it work is actually to use it and to go for it. And if I'm on 3 nights in a row, for example, by the time I get to the 3rd night, I'm really, really happy with my voice. When I get to the 4th night, I'm struggling a bit. But
right,
yeah. So that's the way it works for me, anyway. It's like a muscle. I mean, it's the same as your fingers and your hand and that when you're playing and stuff. I've got problems with my fingers. I've got trigger finger again. Yeah, but if you don't use them, you know, you lose them. And that's probably one of the reasons why I was doing the Shed concerts as well, because I wanted to be able to keep it going. And of course, the other thing I really like, and I have real trouble with sound engineers to doing this, I like a bit of slapback on my vocals. That's all I like. I don't like loads of echo. I don't like loads of reverb and stuff like that. I like something like like Heartbreak Hotel. You got that immediate slapback. And it gives me voice a lot more depth and impact. So when I'm doing my own solo show, I put just a wee bit of slapback on. It's great. Right. But if I don't get me slapback, I'm not comfortable.
Oh, right.
It just gives me a little more dimension. Helps me get away with stuff.
Well, you've got to stick with, you know, all those years of experience and listening to your own voice. I mean, I'm not a big fan of listening to my own voice, believe it or not.
No, me neither. me neither.
When I hear things back, I mean, when I watch these clips back, I'm like,
I hate it as well. I hate the clips on Facebook. I appreciate we need them and that. And then the other thing about all the guitars and the foot drums and all the rest of it is, I was always used to being in bands. I've only been playing solo for the last 10, 12 years, I don't know, maybe less than that. And I started off with an acoustic guitar and stuff, and I just thought, that must be boring for people just watching me doing this. I've got to do something more. So I brought the scar boxes in, I brought the foot drums in. I like to change things around. I don't want people to get bored.
Yes.
So I'll do maybe 2 or 3 songs with one guitar, 2 or 3 songs with another, 2 or 3 songs with another. Sometimes I'll drop the foot drums. And that's why I do it like that.
Right. That part of your performance, where did that come from? Did that literally come from, I'm playing along the guitar, there's normally drums here.
Yeah.
I'll just put some drums in so I can keep a pace and keep it. Is that where it came from?
Yeah. I felt it was empty.
You felt it was a bit naked.
Yeah, I was missing the band, yeah.
You right?
Yeah, so, because I've been playing with the Bandits, you know, and it's like only a 3-piece, but that rhythm section is the business, you know, Jimmy and Davey. So I thought, well, I'll play some drums. And of course I'd seen C6 Steve. Oh, well, I pretend I told him all he knows, but I thought, I don't just want the kick drum. I want a sort of counterpoint, like an equivalent snare as well. I like go dum 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 dum. So I wanted to do both, so that's
well, I'll tell you what, it's super impressive to see.
And you've got the slide as well, and you've got the normal guitars, and so it's mixing things up. So then you can get away to a degree with not playing really well-known cheese. And if I'm ever having trouble, I would get the 4-string out and play, believe it or not, the 27. And that, no matter where I am, no matter how mainstream the pub, it gets
it's because it's a tune, Bob. That's why. It is such a tune.
So yes, I use the 27 as my get out of jail free card.
Right.
And there's another one there, Bruce Richard Reynolds, which is about the Great Train Robbery, which I usually play at the end. That gets everybody going and all. It's a surprise sometimes. I'll when I'm setting up and whatnot, I'll look at the audience and I'll think, right, well, actually, I can't start with the ones.
All right, so it starts before you even start playing.
And then I start doing, like, for example, I'll put some more well-known tunes in. It sometimes backfires and people are going, what's he playing that for, you know, because they've actually come to see the other stuff.
Right, okay,
but you soon get a feel for it because you can see them looking at each other, and I'll go, shall I play something a bit stumpy? And they go, yeah, so I do.
Yeah, cool.
Or I'll go, shall I play something you know you want to sing along to? They go, yeah, so I'll play something that I want to sing along to.
I mean, one thing I like to do is spot T-shirts.
Yeah.
Do that?
Yeah.
So I'll see like an AC/DC T-shirt or something like that, and I'll go, get, Highway to Heaven, Highway to Hell. Getting my Led Zeppelins mixed up, but Highway to Hell will come up the list, or maybe You Shook Me All Night Long might go in if we've passed that stage or whatever.
Yeah, I'm doing a cover of It's a Long Way to the Top if you want a rock and roll solo now, which is a real surprise how well it's going down, like, you know.
Right.
I played on my 6-string Godin guitar, which is like an arch top thing, but it's got a little bit of raunch in it, and it really goes down well because I try to put a little bit of a spin on them. I'm not trying to play it straight because I'm on my own, you know. Right. But it goes all right, like so.
No, it's nice if you can mix it up. And
but I'll play the Bee Gees as well. I play To Love Somebody by the Bee Gees. The reason why I never play a song I don't like. Okay.
Right.
But the reason I play that one is I saw Buddy Miller do it, and Buddy Miller is a fantastic guitar singer, bloke from, he's based in Nashville. He does a lot of session work. He's quite advanced in his years now, but he was in Robert Plant's Band of Joy. He did this Bee Gees number, To Love Somebody, and it's just a brilliant number.
So do you feel that that's an important thing? Do you think if you didn't enjoy the song, it would sort of come through in the performance?
Not necessarily. Just if I didn't enjoy the song, I wouldn't enjoy the song. So
right.
That's the only factor for me. It's the only factor for me, mate.
Oh, well, fair enough.
Yeah.
It just with you saying, I don't play songs I don't enjoy. I just wondered if that was a conscious thing. Well, and that's something you'd picked up over the years, thinking, oh yeah, I can tell. I think they can tell if I don't like this song.
The short answer is I don't know, because I've never played a song for a long time that I don't like. I mean, I have played songs I don't like, but I usually talk the band out of them eventually. I'm a bit selfish like that.
Yeah.
Well, I do enjoy the group stuff more because it's great having a band of brothers, or sisters. We put Oil City Connection together, which was like a tribute to the Canvey Island sound, the Dr. Feelgood stuff with a bit of 9 Below Zero and stuff in and all the rest of it. When we first put that together, I remember talking to the bassist on the other side, because Al Mick was the front singer for that one, playing harp as well. Said, what we're going to do is, when we're playing, we're going to walk forwards and backwards all the way through, and it's going to give a really big impact.
Right.
And it did. That was a long time ago.
Right.
I think it was 2010 we started that one, and it went for a few years.
Yeah, I did want to ask about that, because when I was looking at your sort of past history, was it Oil City Connection and Oil City Slickers?
Oil City Shakers is the duo.
Shakers, was it?
Shakers is the duo with Ronnie Sandler. Yeah.
Right, okay.
And that's basically a bit like I do the solo stuff, but with Ronnie on harmonica.
I see. Right, okay.
Which, as if you've ever heard Ronnie play harmonica, he can play the blues harmonica so wonderfully,
The reason I'm sitting here with you today, really is because you're involved in the live music scene. You have been for a while, and obviously you've done a number of different things in there. Yeah. So, taking a kind of a step back, what would you say is the biggest thing that you've noticed that's kind of changed over the years? I mean, you said you came back from Sheffield.
Yeah.
And then sort of from that point, what would you say has changed from then to now?
It's moved much more quite quickly into more well-known sort of 70s, 80s rock stuff. And these days it's changed massively into the sort of tribute scene, which is where people make money, even in the pubs. So, I mean, you've got to have... If you want to keep the wolf from the door, you've got to have a few things going. Yeah.
So what you're saying is you kind of came in thinking it was one thing, but then realised that diversity is actually probably the way to go and have more strings to your bow.
Yeah, in the pubs, but you've got to remember that up here and various other places, there are all sorts of other music scenes. There's underground electronic scenes, there's rap scenes, there's some great music. I'm a massive fan of punk music back 70s as well, and new wave and that. And there's a sort of post-punk new wave scene up here as well, and electronic. I like everything. Yeah, I can only play a certain amount of things.
Is it the performance that you like? So yes, the music's important, and you've got to kind of like that genre of music before you go and see it. But the reason I'm asking, I'll give you an example. I went to Edinburgh. We went for a weekend, and we ended up, looking for live music. Someone mentioned a pub that we'd never heard of. We kind of Googled it, found out where it was. It was along the street from where we were. It was actually called the Stramash, which is an amazing venue. If you're ever in Edinburgh, go just to see the venue. But we ended up watching an originals band, but they were very... I can't even pin them down. It was like modern ska.
Yeah.
But there was about 12 of them on stage. They had backing vocals. They had 2 trombonists. Is it trombonists? Two people that played the trombone. Yeah. Let's put it that way. Guitarists, this and they were doing their own thing. But their show was amazing.
Yeah,
and we stayed all night just to watch. We couldn't believe what was happening next. There was crowd participation. Yeah. There was just, this guy had them in the palm of his hand, and so for me, I wouldn't have sought that kind of music out. But I was just involved with the show and enjoyed the show. So that sounds very much
right up my street. I mean, what I think what we forget sometimes is that there's a whole host of other scenes out there. We think we've got this pub scene going, and that's it. It's just a small part of what's happening, thankfully. And I mean, we're talking about when me and our kid were young, listening to what we listened to. Well, it wasn't just Quo. I mean, I loved Hawkwind. I loved Roxy Music. I loved all of the Bowie stuff coming through the 70s. And then when the Damned released New Rose, I mean, that was just out of this league. I mean, John Peel was my friend as a teenager. I used to go. My mum didn't realise, couldn't understand why I was so easy going to bed at 10 o'clock every night. It's because I went
when his show was on.
Yeah, I got the tranny radio on there and I listened to John Peel till midnight. John Peel introduced me to so many different types of music. Susie and the Banshees, before they broke, were absolutely tremendous. The Slits. I mentioned the Damned. And I was just talking about Jamaican dub and stuff like that, which I really love. I remember he used to say, if you're on a normal AM transistor radio, you probably won't hear anything for the first minute because it's just really deep bass stuff. And he was right, until I got a stereo and I could plug it into stereo and I listen to my headphones. And it was great when I moved to Sheffield, because I remember I was walking, because Sheffield has a great Afro-Caribbean sort of community.
Right.
And I remember walking across some wasteland and I could hear all this Jamaican dub going, and there was a big sort of do going on this wasteland, and people saying, "Oh, you can't go there. I'd stuff it." I just went and sat with them, and I had a great afternoon and evening. I can't remember much about it in the end, as you might imagine. But,
they're the best nights, the ones you can't remember, man.
Absolutely, and a drink did not pass my lips.
Wow, okay.
So I like all sorts of music, and you got to remember there are so many different music scenes up here. Yeah. We get caught in our own music scene.
Well, I was going to say that's something I'm quite conscious of, and that I'm involved in 2 sort of separate alleyways, if you like, or 2 lanes of that. But I'm aware there's so much more, and I'm hoping through this that we can actually explore a little bit more.
Well, there is a new scene that I'm getting into at the minute, I suppose, which is a mixture of the original scene with the 6-piece band, the Bates Motel, and I suppose the national blues circuit and rock circuit stuff as well, which is coming through. But I mean, if you want to make money these days, you get yourself in a tribute band and you do the theatre shows, don't you? Because a lot of our contemporaries are doing that at the moment. Ali Lee's in the Fleetwood Mac band, Fleeting Rumours, and they know that as soon as the place is rammed and they play the first note and the place goes nuts, because people are there for all of those songs, which is fantastic, And with the Quo band, we're playing the Queen's Hall in Hexham in the new year. In December, we're going up to Kinross in Scotland to play in that, and we've played the Quo Convention. I mean, the Quo Convention was just absolutely mad.
Right.
I couldn't believe it.
So tell us a bit more about that then. Is that sort of lots of Quo tributes?
Yeah, basically, yeah. We did the Scottish Quo Convention, yeah, and of course you got like niche Quo bands like us playing just that's 70 to 76. You got ones that play the new stuff. You got ones that go back to the 60s.
Right. It's like a full mix.
Yeah, it's just hilarious. And Mike Reid was the compere as well, which I wasn't expecting. I remember going downstairs to get a beer, and there was this bloke on his laptop, and I said, "That's Mike Reid, you know, the DJ from the 80s or 70s. I can't remember." So it's just a weird night, yeah.
Right.
So that can be fun.
Is there anywhere in the Northeast that you particularly enjoy?
Yeah.
You know, venue-wise or whatever. Do you just look at, you know, a certain booking and go, oh, I can't wait to play there? Or last time that was amazing? Or
Well, with the core band, I like Trillions. Right?
Yeah, preaching the converted.
If I'm honest with you.
I'm not going to big Hilly up again because I did it in another episode. So
yeah. Well, Hilly's great on the desk as well, which is nice. It's good when Hilly's mixing.
One thing I did want to ask you about was a band that you used to be in called Bandits.
Yeah.
I kind of missed that. I wasn't involved in the scene then, and going to see bands. So how did the Bandits come about?
Well, that was me trying to get in a band when I moved back up to the Northeast. So I was looking to try and get into a band, and I answered an advert and got into the Dry Lakes Blues Band for a while with Captain Morgan on bass, and played because they'd lost a guitar player. I played one gig with them and they split up. So
not taking the credit for that. No?
Well, you know, it could have been my impact and my charisma, you know. So just try to put our own band together. So I think back in those days, you used to put signs up in the music shops.
Yes, in the doorways and things like that. I remember King's Music in Sunderland. If anyone else remembers that, and there was a place in Hilton Road as well. It would just be full of, you know, lots of drawn pins and a board and stuff. That's how it used to work.
And that's how the Bandits came together. So there was four of us got together originally. We were talking about it earlier, weren't we, when I had nobody to sing. So
yes.
So we just started rehearsing. But then we got another Dave in, Davey Knox, or Brad Dolphin as we called him, to play drums, and he's just a powerhouse, and Jimmy Wilson on bass, and a lad called Jerry Rouse on guitar. And you know, we started rehearsing in 92 and started gigging in 93 and gigged all the way through to the, I don't know, must have been 2017 or something. But we became a three-piece in the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. So guitar, bass, and drums with me singing, and Jimmy doing backing vocals and singing a few songs.
Yeah, I think we're going to take a look at the Bandits now. Enjoy this.
Take a little trip and miss the windscreen style. Kiss the screen in a traffic jam. When he bust his face, next his nose. Long his legs and he rests his clothes. Gotta go faster. Gotta get along. Gotta go faster. Grit your teeth, clench your jaw. Push yourself just a little bit more.
Right, okay. So after all that, so amazing guitar playing there, that's for sure. So yeah, I mean, all that came to an end.
Everything was getting on top of me at the time. If I'm honest with you, we talked before we started recording about the pressure of keeping everything going.
Yes,
I was doing my solo work. I needed more income at the time because my business wasn't going so well. But then I got another job and I was working long hours. I just needed a break. It was completely my fault. I mean, the Bandits was just a great drinking band. It's a drinking band, barroom drinking band. We got a guy who drove the van, did all the sound, and he used to scoop us up at the end of the night and throw us in the There were times when we were falling over on stage and trying to get the gear away was just crazy. We'd get home about 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I stopped drinking as much, and it became harder and harder for me. So it was because Jimmy and Davey didn't stop, and it was just too hard for me at the time. But I mean, I played. I did a quick cameo slot with them a couple of weeks ago at a local pub in Wrighton, and it was great to get back up with them because they're the best rhythm section you could imagine. Dave Knox, or Brad Dolphin, and Whalebone Pete, which is Jimmy Wilson, on bass. They're just legendary.
So in terms of what you're doing now, I mean, Bates Motel?
Bass Motel's the 6-piece originals band. Yeah, that plays songs from me releases basically that I've recorded myself with Ali's help. So I've got that. I've got the Mark Kelly's Boys. I've got the solo. I've got a 3-piece that's sort of played 4 gigs called the Ghost Riders, but I don't know. We're not doing a lot. And I've had the duo with Ronnie Semple or the City Shakers, but again, that's gone off the boil a bit. We're not getting that many bookings. We're not pushing it too much. Just about to start actually a new duo with a lady called Andrea Patterson, who goes out in the theatres as Dolly Parton.
Right.
Yeah.
So how on earth did that come about?
I was playing a solo gig at Blues and Bourbon in Newcastle, and did me 3 sets as you do. A woman came up, blonde hair and that, very diminutive. So she said, I really enjoyed that. She said, I do Dolly Parton, I do Polly. And I went, aye, here we go.
Uh-huh.
And she started singing Jolene and stuff like that, and it was just like, it was just unbelievable. I thought, I've never heard anybody sound like Dolly Parton like this.
All right.
So I said, well, that's lovely, and I gave her my card and that, and thought nothing of it. And then she got back in touch and that, and I looked her up, and I found out what she does.
Right.
I mean, she does massive theatre shows. I mean, she's on at Willie Bay Playhouse next week, I think, as in the Dolly Parton story. So she's put it all together herself, and she's doing it. She's relaunching. We decided we'd do a duo.
Right.
So we're doing our first gig at the 3 Tons. Sorry, not the 3 Tons, the Schooner in Gateshead on the 23rd of December. And it's a bit like Alison Krauss, Robert Plant stuff.
Right.
So,
wow.
and of course, then there's the Bates Motel, which is all the originals.
Any Dolly Parton tracks in there?
Probably do Jolene.
Nice.
So but
So it's quite a like diverse mix.
I get bored. I like to do different things. Yeah.
In my sort of covers band or tribute band, we'll do this song. Let's rehearse this song, or practice this song at home. And then we'll go and rehearse it, and then it's out there. How does it work from an original band point of view? Is it, right, something will happen, we'll just get together and spend 2 or 3 hours in a room and something will happen, or someone brings some ideas and you flesh them out? Does it work like that?
Well, that's how it used to work when I was a kid, back in the 70s and early 80s when I was in bands in Sheffield and that. But no, the Bates Motel is very much like you just described.
Is it?
Because I already recorded all the material. I went through all the albums and picked a whole bunch of songs and said, right, here you are, lads, learn them.
Ah, right, okay.
And then we went to the rehearsal room and knocked them together. And
right, so I mean, what's going to happen?
What's going to happen now?
I was going to say, have you finished that process? Have you done all the songs that you?
Well, we could do more. We could do more, but we want to record now as a band. So the process I'm doing now is me and Ali are sharing ideas, and we're going to record. What do they call them? Guide tracks, and then we'll bring the band in to put their own take on it and be much more of band stuff.
Right.
So we're going to record a Bates Motel bunch of songs and then see how we go with them.
Right.
But that'll be the first time in my later years that I've collaborated in writing, you see, because I write everything and arrange most everything myself with guidance from Ali at times. He's been great and saying, no, do no more, that's enough. And I'm saying, yeah, but I want this and this and this. No, it's enough, So it's going to be a collaboration this time. I haven't collaborated since I was in my 20s. And so the Bates Motel's doing all right. We're trying to be choosy with where we play. So we foolishly started off with booking Clooney 1 as our launch. But it worked, and we didn't lose any money. Actually, we did all right. We made a few bob with the help of Linda Valentine promoting, who was fantastic.
So in terms of you talking about the Clooney, how did that work? Because I'm interested in... Obviously, things are beginning to sort of bite, especially venues, bands, everything's been affected, price-wise, etc. So how does that work in terms of hiring that venue out? Do you hire it out? Do you pay a fee? Or is it a percentage of takings on the door? Is it tickets? How does it work?
I think it varies depending on what level of band you are, but what we did is we hired it out and paid for the sound guy.
Right.
And then we had tickets, which were very reasonable at a $5. And try to pack as many people in as we could and cover the costs, and we did so, and we got some money back, which was great.
Right.
And it was a good way to launch it. I think a few people had bought the albums anyway, so they knew the songs, which was nice, so they all came. People were very, very kind and very supportive. Yeah, we're trying to keep things special rather than just go and play in the dog and duck, just to keep it different.
Right. And
we're up at the radio rooms in Berwick in Tweedmouth on Saturday coming, which is, I forget what the date is it the 19th?
Yes.
Saturday the 19th, so that starts at 8 o'clock. We've been very lucky with getting really good audiences for everything that we've done so far. I think we've played half a dozen plus gigs. We did a really nice one in Corbridge, which was good as well. Oh, and we did Storm in the Castle, which was fantastic.
That was the clip I saw. Storm. Yeah. I was actually not a clip from Storm in the Castle. It was in the background, waiting to go on.
Aye.
It was sort of like I looked at that and thought it's a bit Spinal Tap. This I thought he was going to left just there and right just there, but no, he was at the back of the stage. And it's interesting for me, especially just to see clips like that.
Yeah, because that was the song we were trying to bed in.
Right.
We're just trying to get the cues right for the things that we're doing on the backing vocals. Yeah. So I mean, it's that sort of band. I mean, we're pretty together and we're playing a bit more now, but it's still melding the songs to the 6-piece band. So we're still adjusting as we go along. Talking
about risk from a venue point of view, obviously, that risk has always really been taken by the venues.
Yeah.
That people will come, they book a band, you agree a fee, you turn up, you do your thing. If there's 100 people there, great. If there's 10 people there, the band is still going, can I have my money, please? And, the more and more things I see venues, the Dog and Duck, your typical venues, numbers are starting to dwindle in a lot of places. Yeah. So that I'm just wondering how that's going to work in the future. In terms of who takes the risk, whether the venues... I mean, some of the venues that I go to just to watch bands, they're putting cover charges on. They've never put cover charges on, but they're putting cover charges on just to come and watch the band. Doesn't matter who the band are, £2 on the door even, just to take the sting out of, the sort of lower attendances. And I'm wondering if you've noticed things like that.
I mean, when I moved back to the Northeast, this was the only place I'd experienced where you didn't have a charge on the door,
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, right. That's interesting.
It seems to be a Northeast culture thing. Obviously, the clubs would charge, but the pubs wouldn't. I'm not against it. I thought it was quite interesting. I think pubs have been taking chances with it for a while.
Yes.
They take the risk. Some of them get some money from the breweries, some of them don't. And obviously, we're all trying to charge a wee bit more now because we've got more expenses ourselves, but the pub's got more expenses, so it's really tough for them.
I mean, one thing I did see that was really interesting. This is kind of what got me thinking. We went away to Leeds on a weekend, and like we said before, we seek out a live band. The band that we actually saw wasn't the one advertised, but it didn't matter. It was a Black Sabbath tribute.
Yeah,
the guys turned up. Tommy Lomy's absolutely amazing. The Aussie was absolutely incredible. But 3 songs in, and a bar staff member came out with a bucket.
Yeah,
I didn't know she was from the bar at the time. Came out with tips for the band.
Yeah,
in a bucket.
Yeah,
and everyone's chucking their change in and stuff like that. But the amount of people, there's about 80 people in the room, and more or less, every other one was putting like £1 or something in.
Yeah,
and I thought, well, is that the way things are going to go? I thought she was from the band, to be honest, originally. But it wasn't. It was from the venue. Well, and I thought, are we going to see things like that?
I think it's a way forward. It's a gentle way of doing it. If you've got a pub or a venue that doesn't have a separate room for the band, and it's just and you don't want to just lock out your normal drinkers, it's a good way of doing it. I played the Blues Bar in Harrogate again a couple of 3 weeks ago, and you get a fee, but they also do a bucket as well.
Really?
Yeah, and that's quite nice. And like I was mentioning, the radio rooms, we're not sure about what we're going to get paid at the radio rooms, but I know they're going to have a bucket.
Right. So, okay. So maybe it is the way things.
Why the hell not? Because then you can contribute what you can afford.
Yes, I was going to say that. Then it becomes an optional thing, and how much you contribute is kind of in your hands.
And if you get 50 quid in, it helps the bar out. If you get 200 quid in, it helps the bar out enormously. If you get 300 quid in, you're laughing, aren't you?
I just wanted to get your view on that as well, because it's, when I spot something that I haven't seen before, I like to get other people's points of view. I'm just wondering if we're going to get the stage where we see because no one takes cash anymore. I'm just wondering, are we going to start to see card machines mounted to the front of stages and stuff?
They might do.
You never know.
I mean, when I went to Nashville, and every bar had a bucket that people would chuck the money in when the people were playing. I don't know whether they were getting paid as well, but they were certainly going for the bucket. You go to Robert's Western World, and his buckets going around and all that sort of stuff, and selling CDs and things. One thing
I did want to say was, obviously, thanks for having us here today. I thought we were going to get a guest appearance from Frankie the Cat, but it never quite happened.
He's having a look.
He's keep looking in, but he's never actually made an appearance. Never mind.
He's keeping himself near the fire.
maybe next time. Thanks for doing this, Bob. I really appreciate your time. It's really, really nice to have actually sat down and spent some time with you. I know we've had the odd 5-10 minutes after gigs, this, that, and the other, but
I'm not very talkative in them situations.
Well, as I say, we've covered loads today. I mean, thanks for going into that. It's amazing for me that obviously this channel is all about meeting people just like yourself. I mean, the weekend rock stars are a bit of a misnomer. It's
weekend warriors, though. That's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is,
most of us work all the week and then play the weekend.
That's it. I mean, the one thing I'm quite passionate about is, every time I stand in front of a microphone and I'm just about to open my mouth with an opening song, I honestly think of everything involved in trying to get to that place, because that's just the end product of so much work, so much organisation, talking to the venues, booking the bands, doing the rehearsals, talking to the agent to get the booking in the first place if there's an agency involved. There's all sorts goes on to actually making this whole thing work, to getting you to a point where you're just going to go, and open a set.
And what usually goes through my head at that juncture is, I hope I'm going to get away with it again.
Well, you've been getting away with it for quite a while, Bob, so I think you're doing all right.
Cheers, man.
Well, thanks for having us here. Again, really appreciate you taking the time. It's been lovely to catch up with you, honestly.
It's nice to get a chance for a proper big crack, man, Greg. It's been great.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much.
Cheers, man.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Please remember to click the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell, so that you get to know when we put a new episode online. Don't forget about the Facebook page as well. We've started advertising in advance who we're going to have on the next episode there. Gives you a chance to go on, add a comment. There can be a question we can put, just like Michael did today. So hopefully you got your question answered. Get yourselves out there, keep supporting live music, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Take care.